by that campfire, one drink on a real good buzz, waiting for our friends to come over. The backyard's where we used to catch up. Well, I haven't seen them in a while, and ain't it wild how much has changed since our last goodbye that summertime. Moments pass, bring them back, when we could just sit outside and talk about life while reminiscing about all the good old times, playing our songs on the radio. The stars were out shining bright, lit up on the 4th of July. We'd party all day and night till the morning sun would come call us home. Summer hangouts, sipping on life with the guitar strumming. It's getting late now, let's do it all again tomorrow. Summer hangouts, summer hangouts. Now we're all back in town for t-shirts and sun-kissed skin. It didn't take long to settle down, cause that fire was always burning. It feels like time was standing still for all these years. Not much has changed since our last goodbye that summertime. Moments pass, so make them last. Well, we could just sit outside and talk about life while reminiscing about all the good old times, playing our songs on the radio. The stars are out shining bright, lit up on the 4th of July. We'll party all day and night till the morning sun will come call us home. Summer hangouts, sipping on life with the guitar strumming. It's getting late now, let's do it all again tomorrow. Summer hangouts, summer hangouts. Just sit outside and talk about life while reminiscing about all the good old times, playing our songs on the radio. The stars are out shining bright, lit up on the 4th of July. We'll party all day and night till the morning sun will come call us home. Moments pass, I wish we could bring them back. Summer hangouts, sipping on life with the guitar strumming. It's getting late now, can we do it all again tomorrow?
Is it recording? Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back. Welcome back to the Positive Perception HQ YouTube channel, all that fun and good stuff. And welcome back to round number 4 of the Positive Perception GT Championship, season number 9. We're nearly into double digits on seasons this time round, and it has been an absolute doozy. As it shows you on the screen just there before it disappeared, welcome to Leicestershire. Welcome to the Donington Park GP circuit. This is a fan favourite, it has to be said, one of the smaller, narrower circuits on the ACC calendar. However, one that will always generate some fantastic racing, some real close action, and hopefully, if potentially, a little slice of rain in the air as well. Round number 4 or 5 for this one. We've already had 3 in the books. Last round, of course, was at Imola a couple of weeks ago where Alex and Ryan called the shots. It is me, David Ressel, riding solo this evening, so you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. There's no other voices to cut through the annoying tones that come out of my mouth for this race. And we've got one more after this, which again I won't be around for, so we're pleased to know. The season finale, round 5 at Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks. Shorter season this time round, largely because of the fact that it's coming up to Christmas, so kind of elected to change things up a little bit. If we do it like that, we'd be coming up, I think it was like the week before Christmas, and see, people get busy, don't they, around that time of year, as we all do. For those of you watching, thank you as always for sticking around. It is massively appreciated. You guys are awesome, and yeah, very, very excited to get this round underway. Let's just tweak these a little bit. There we go. Let's make it a little bit quieter so you can hear us properly through your audio waves, through your headphones, through your speakers, through your TV. Doesn't matter how you want to get it. Get that in your earwaves, however you choose to take your entertainment details. So yeah, round number 4 of 5, and we'll come to the standings in a little moment or two. It's pretty close in most of the championships. One of them maybe less close than others, but that's fine. Let these things happen. It is not a problem. We will make do with what we've got, and yeah, still gives us fantastic racing regardless. As we always get here at the Positive Perception community, we always get loads of great action. We've got 35 drivers in the server at the moment who are ready to throw their cars around this Donington Park circuit. Like I said, briefing at the moment, so once that's done, we'll jump into 20 minutes of qualifying, as we always do, and a 60-minute race, as we always do as well. Tonight's race is no tyre stop. Well, I mean, they can change the tyres, but it'd be a bit pointless. But they have to fuel the car. I think it's only a litre of fuel they have to put in, so in theory, they could brim the tank. Not brim it. Oh, you don't need to brim it for 60 minutes, but fill it up and then just add a litre in to essentially minimise the amount of time that you want to be pitting on. I think it's probably fair to say that it's not the hardest track on tyres that we will come to this season. I expect even next week, or next round, sorry, in a couple of weeks at Watkins Glen will be a testament to that as well, as it would have been at Imola, Kyalami and Suzuka in the rounds past as well. So plenty to look forward to. And before we do that, let's have a quick skim through the standings, starting with the AM Championship at this moment in time. At the top of the AM standings with 80 points as it stands right now is Andy Husting. He is not in the server, I don't think, at the moment, so he will potentially be putting his top spot at risk come the end of this evening. Riccardo Massieri, he is second in command with 68 points with Nick Karianis, and Simon Carson 2 and 8 points behind him, respectively. Harry Twomanen is there on 48 points in 5th place. Michael de Groot a further 10 points back, with Oppo on 7th, with 36 points. Lisa Louise Keane, the last of the point-scoring drivers in the AM Championship this season, with a total of 24 points after the first 3 rounds. As we go to the silver standings, it's Ivo van Kollenberg who leads on that one, but it is very, very close and very spicy at the top of the standings, because as you can see, Mark Neutelings is 1 solitary point behind our championship leader in the silver championship at this moment in time. Jay Brooker a further 8 points back in 3rd place. Liam Knott is 4th place with 52 points. And a big shout out to Joran Omlo, who is driving in the Aston Martin V12 this season, which we know is not the simplest car to drive. It's not the quickest one either. So credit to him, 50 points in 5th place in the standings right now. Amadeo Pagliara is in 6th place with 46 points, with Mike Richards a further 3 behind him in 7th. Mark Cooper on 42 points is in 8th place, and it's a further point back each for the next two guys in the top 10. Remco Ottens on 41 and Tobias Hackinson of Hexagon Nation Racing in 10th with a total of 40 points after 3 rounds. Going into the Pro Championship then, this is the one where it's slightly less interesting at the top of the standings. Miles Dixon has won all 3 races of the season so far, and I'm sure he'll be going for a clean sweep as he continues here at Donington Park this evening. He is on the grand total, the highest possible total of 90 points in the season so far. Adam Misalovic has been his closest marker at this moment in time, and he is sitting behind him on 20 points, his lesser on 70 in total, with Russell Matthewson, who was serving a race ban this evening after having a couple of run-ins with the stewarding team. He is in 3rd place on 67. Expect him to drop back a bit at the close of play tonight. Dusan Vujinovic, he is looking quick in the BMW around here this evening. The BMW, a very big fan favourite of Donington Park. He is sitting in pretty on fourth with 62 points, with Rich Pixley a further 13 points back in 5th place. Karolis Jurgelis in 6th with 46 points. Ollie Giel a point behind him. Leighton Austin a further 5 points back. Marcus Hagel in 9th place. And Thomas van der Strauss rounds out your top 10 in the Pro Championship. Good evening, Andy Houston. Welcome into the chat, good friend. Shane, you can't be with us. However, I'm assuming that's Thanksgiving you're referring to, because we are at the end of November. And yeah, normally I tend to find that it tends to be around that time. And I'm pretty sure I've seen tons of American sports teams mentioning something like that over the last couple of weeks. So happy Thanksgiving to you if I have in fact got that right. Like I say, pretty sure I have. So now all we really need to do is basically just wait for qualifying to start. So 20-minute qualifying session. Briefing, I believe, is pretty much finished, because I can see on my screen at least cars bouncing up and down as they fiddle with their setups. Either that, or they're being naughty and not listening to whoever's hosting the briefing this evening, of whom I have no idea. And if that is the case, then yes, they're being very naughty, because I can see people driving out onto the circuit. Hopefully we will jump into the session very, very shortly, and we'll be able to have a nice chatter with Mr. Mark Raddenbury, Posper Bossman himself, during the warm-up lap ahead of the race as well, which is always something that's good fun. We'll see what kind of secrets and details we can glean out of him going into the race this evening. He is, I think he's quietly confident, I think, going into this one. He's, like I said before, he's in the BMW. It is a very quick car out here. It suits this track down to the ground for some reason. Those of you more well versed in the ideas of ACC will know that better reasoning than I do. But now essentially, yeah, we're just waiting for the last. We've got a minute or so left of free practice, so we will get underway very, very shortly. As said, 36 cars. Sorry, I've had a late joiner into the server in the session, or on the track at the moment. It's gonna be a tough one. It's a 2.5-3 mile circuit, I believe. I should probably know that. I should have had a look at that before I went on to the stream tonight, but there you go. We all make mistakes. So fitting all of those guys around this circuit is going to be rather interesting. We'll see how they get on. It does mean that track position, especially in qualifying, is going to be really key. Of course, we all know how qualifying works these days. You're the faster car and you can't someone slower than you on a flying lap. Got to bin it off. I mean, you could make the move, but it'd be a little bit naughty, and I think the stewards would come down, have a little natter with you if you did anything like that. So yeah, track position going to be really important. Strategy going to be equally as important. What will we see? Will we see people brimming the tank and filling as little as possible going into the pit stop phase? Will we see people deciding to go half and half on the strategy and run with as little fuel as possible to try and minimise those tenths on the lap time? We shall see. All shall be revealed over the next couple of hours, and all will be revealed as to see whether Miles Dixon can take his 4th overall victory in a row here in the Positive Perception Championship. Now driving for Onid Racing, of course, after those of you, I'm sure you've seen about the sad news that Pulse Sim Sport will be no more. Luckily for us, all of the guys who drove with Pulse are still driving in the series. Obviously, all under different names. A few of them have gone to a few different places, so it's nice to see they found some homes, despite that sad news that Pulse will no longer be a thing. Yeah, Mars, of course, going to own it. A couple of the guys going to, I think it's West Competition Racing. We'll get confirmation of that when we go into the session, I'm sure, because it will come up on the screen and remind me who exactly they are. I know what the livery looks like, I just can't remember the name. Haven't seen it in a while. So, yeah, will he get his 4th win in a row? Will he get 120 points going into the final round? And will that mean that his attendance is mandatory for the final round to see if he can take the clean sweep? I don't believe it's ever happened before, apart from yours truly getting a clean sweep in the GT4 Championship when we used to do multi-class a few seasons back. I think it was season 5. It's on the website. Go and have a look. Yeah, that was the only time I remember it happening. And of course, I'm not going to forget that one because it holds a special place in my heart, as you can imagine. So just waiting for qualifying to start. It will be underway any moment now once those out on track finish their lap times. You'd think they would just sack it off and just go back and get qualifying underway, but not always the case, sadly. But it will tick over any moment now. I have absolute authority on that one. And once it does, we will jump straight into the session. And we will see all the action. We have to go 38 drivers in the server now. That is beefed out significantly. Following that, I can see now, right, here we go. Let's get everything on the screen and get us ready to go because qualifying very much underway. So there we go then. Let's get this qualifying session in the books. Let's see who's going to be first out on track. We'll get on with them in just a second. It's going to be one of Hewlett. It's going to be Carlos Jürgelis in that now white Porsche, which is a little bit weird. I'm used to seeing him in the Pulse Sport livery. I'm still not quite used to it. Where has he gone? There he is on my list. He's in the West Competition Racing Porsche. So similar to that of Ash Coupland, who's in the West Competition Racing Ferrari, but this one doesn't have a livery. Apparently it's weight saving, Carolus assures me, as I mentioned that to him in the chat earlier today in the Discord server. So assuming this will be what this man, whoa, I was about to say, assuming that he puts a valid lap time in. Of course, I'm very much well aware that we're on an open out lap at the moment, but if he does put that lap time in, he will be the man who will set the stall out for everyone else. Probably a good marker board for everyone else. Of course, Carolus not the slowest driver on the in the championship this season. Not necessarily had the best of run of things. And been caught up in a few incidents and the like throughout the season, but still definitely has the raw pace as shown for a very impressive season last season, only coming second to Marcus Hagel in the championship, if my encyclopedic brain reminds me so. Let's go on board with the Porsche 992 for a lap of this Donington Park circuit then. Wheatcroft Straight kicks things off. Not the longest start-finish straight you'll see on the calendar this season. He's going to be careful and mindful of those coming out of the pit lane. Oh, dearie me. Not what you want going into Redgate for the first time. We'll see if he does carry the lap on. I think he will. Yeah, it looks like he's going to carry on anyway. Not ideal start to him. That was Steve Derrick coming out of the pit lane, down through the crane of curves. Flat out down here, using that downforce that these GT3 cars generate through to the old hairpin. Little dab of the brakes, take as much curb on the entry, as much on the exit as you dare, and up through towards Starkey's Bridge, and up through Schwantz Curve, up towards McLean's. These next two right-handers, very difficult to get right. This one not as hard, but you have got the little off-camber exit on there as well. You can go nice and wide as he has done there, and this one, Coppice, very difficult indeed. Off-camber, blind apex into there, very difficult to know when to turn in. And you just desperately want to get on the power as you come down on Starkey Straight. Very difficult to do so without the back end of the car stepping out on you. Comes down towards the Fogarty S's. One of those moments where we're going to get a lot of invalidated laps throughout the course of this qualifying session and this race. Jürgelis manages that with aplomb as he comes down towards the Melbourne Loop. Heavy on the brakes. Heaviest braking point on the track. Going to be plenty of overtaking opportunities here, although he has backed out of it, so he's not going to be putting a fast lap in. He will be coming back out in a second to get another lap in. So the man behind him, which I believe is Adam Misalovic, in fact, no, sorry, it's Mark Neutlings, will be the first one to put a representative lap time on the board, we might say. This will count for Jürgelis, so we'll go top with a 130. Mark Neutlings goes first then with a 1:29.0. Craig Hewlett has not put a lap time in, but Mark Raddenbury, as you mentioned, goes to the top of the timing board. Immediately displaced, though, by Leighton Austin. We're going to get a lot of that throughout the first couple of minutes. So, because, again, Ash Coupland does the same. He displaces His or I think it's former teammate. I don't know if they still are. No, they are still teammates. They both still drive for West Competition Racing. So Coupland replaces his still teammate Austin at the top of the time board for now. 27-1 for Coupland. I think we can probably expect to see around about a second chipped off of that throughout the remaining 16 minutes of qualifying. Very brief yellow flag there as someone's gone off circuit. It looks like we're all back up to speed. And they go Vojinovic, Dusan Vojinovic of the Hexagon Nation team. He puts himself up into second place. Oh, that's Freddie Coleman Evans, I believe, in the 331 McLaren GT3 Evo. Just coming on, or just coming off the circuit and back on again. Nearly threw off Dusan as he was coming into the first corner. Doesn't appear to have impacted him too much. So we'll see how these guys' second laps fare. Of course, this is the important thing. They've got a lap on the board. Now there's the time for them to work towards. They've got a delta to work with. They know how much quicker they can go and how much quicker they are going. And they'll use that to their advantage. As Ash Coupland was on for another half a second gain, but he's not going to get that because he's invalidated his lap. So he will not be improving on this occasion. Although everyone else appears to be, as that man we mentioned him a moment ago, Karolis Jurgelis, does go top of the timing charts with a 26.8. So shows what he can do when he can keep it clean and tidy and doesn't get impacted into the first corner. So as it goes through the top 10 then, Jurgelis followed by Coupland, Vojinovic and Austin, your top 4. Mark Raddenbury, Van der Strauss, Hewlett, Pixley, Dixon and Neutelings, your top 10. Although that has immediately changed because John Gray has put himself up into second place with the fastest middle sector of the lap of the qualifying session so far. 33.8. Remember, if you want to see all of those timings, all you need to do is head to the live timing link in the chat on the stream. Live time pitbull.live/timing/posper. Get onto there and have a gander and see what's going on. Let's have a look at this man again, Leighton Austin. He's got a bit of time on the table. He's improving as it stands. Not quite enough to get to pole, but only a handful of milliseconds will get him the time he needs. He has got a Porsche in front of him. I saw the livery, but whose name it is I cannot remember for the life of me. I would know it if I saw the name. Dominic Chaumont is the one in front of him. Oh, no, he was in front of him. As I was looking through my timing chart, he got out of the way. Very handy of Dominic to do that. It looks though Leighton's going to get that provisional pole if he keeps it clean and tidy. Only 2.5 or just under 3/10 separating the top 5 as we go through. That changes completely because Leighton Austin comes in with a 26.440 and immediately sets the stall out with 13.5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. That is a statement lap time from the 23 car. Let's see what everyone else can do with the remaining minutes we have in this session. Let's have a look a bit further down the board at the moment. Michael de Groot's just crossed the line. He's gone quicker, but hasn't gone quick enough to improve his position. Mark Cooper is one who is definitely improving at the moment. He's got a lot of traffic in front of him, though. We'll see whether that's going to hamper his ultimate lap time. He's on for potentially a very big improvement, enough to put him right up into the mix of things. Currently 2.6 seconds off his fastest lap, only a 29.0. We know he can go quicker than that as he comes out the final corner in the Alitalia Bull Ferrari 296, crosses the line up into P14. That's a 127.935 for him. As it stands, Leighton Austin still sitting pretty at the top of the timing chart, still by 0.4 of a second to Karolis Jurgelis. Ash Coupland out on track at the moment, but not providing a valid lap as Dusan Vojinovic improves. Fastest first sector for him at 20.102. Got another man who's improving here. One of the newer ranks in the Positive Perception team, Mr. Daniel Crinson, racing in the Posper Porsche that was raced out at what was meant to be the 24 Hours of Kyle Army with SGP in the race against Gemench Charity on Saturday. Sadly, neither car made it to the finish. In fact, no car made it to the finish, sadly, but he is repping that one for this evening and looking good, if I may say so myself. He is on for some improvement. It's going to shift him up into the top 6, I would say, if he keeps it clean. Comes into the final corner into Goddard's, kind of that awkward double apex left-hander. Comes out of the start finish rate, does go into the top 6, 5th overall. You can see there it's very, very close in the top 5. Or top 5 if you exclude the fact that Leighton Austin is half a second quicker almost than anyone else on track. Here comes Mark Neutelings through the foggy S's. Keeps his lap clean and tidy there. He is very open about the fact he's not a massive fan of this circuit, and it is very much a chalk and cheese track, I feel. I love the track. I do not like to drive it though, because I will always fall foul of those track limits, especially going through the S's into the GP section where we are at the moment. He's coming through the final corner through Goddard's for another time. Keeps it nice and clean. A little bit of spit up of gravel on the exit. Does improve, not by much though. Gains a few tenths and only a few positions as a result. Who else have we got? We've got Poe in the Aston Martin, F1 Aston Martin. It's a bit of a mouthful. Coming into the Melbourne loop now. He's 2.5 seconds pretty much off of the pole position time. Currently still set by Leighton Austin. Still that 4.425 ahead of anyone else. But Poe is showing some decent improvement on this lap. He's got Rob Besant ahead of him, who's just going to try and settle up. Oh my goodness. That was really awkward for the two of them. You've got Rob Besant trying to set himself up for a lap time. Poe does improve. Gets himself up into 24th position, but that won't be ideal for him. He'll have wanted a slightly cleaner lap there, I'm sure. Here comes Ash Coupland into the Melbourne loop. We're getting a lot of people on this part of the track at the moment. There's Jay Brooker, I think that is. Just jumps out the way of him, which is good. In fact, no, that won't be Jay Brooker. That will be one of the other T1SR guys. I think that's Liam Knott, I believe, just getting out of the way. As Ash comes out the final corner. Lost a bit of time going through. Goddard's, though, isn't going to improve by the looks of it. No, he doesn't. Loses about a tenth or so on the exit of that one. So, room for improvement for that man. At the moment, no one's really able to shine a candle to the lap time set by Leighton Austin a few moments ago. Still sitting at the top with a 26.44. So room for improvement around those guys. We see Steve Derrick going across the line now. He's going to improve. Was he? He's lost a bit of time as he come out the final corner, though. He doesn't actually improve. In fact, he does, but not by enough to actually make a difference in his absolute position on the track. Here is Freddie Coleman Evans in the JMR 331 car. He is coming up, excuse me, towards Starkey Straight. He's got a nice bit of time in hand at the moment. Again, he keeps this on the straight and narrow on the black stuff. He will be getting a bit of time, a few positions rather, I should say, up on the time, and he's gained a lot of time going through the S's there. Got a really good exit by the looks of it compared to his personal best so far. See whether he can hold on to that. He's kind of managing that gap. Oh, a bit of a slide coming out of the Melbourne loop. That's going to impact his time all the way up towards the breaking point for Goddard. Here he is now. And he's going to come across the line. What will the time be as he comes out of there? Oh, a steer moment coming out of there. That's going to lose him more time. He's still got to improve, but only by a few positions in the end. He was about 6 tenths up at a point there. Wasn't able to pull it all together, though, unfortunately for him. Now, here's a man we want to be looking out for. Miles Dixon, as I said before, now Owned Racing, the number 94 car, still on track, as we like to see. Not really pulling up the trees we would expect him to do. Currently sitting P16. Best lap time of 127.8. He's only 2 thousandths of a second ahead of Ollie Gill. He's 5 thousandths behind Pixley and 100th of a second behind Liam Knott. But he is on for an improved lap time at the moment if he can keep it clean and tidy, which he is. It's going to put him, at the moment, if he keeps it as it is, into the top 10. We'll see whether he can make any further improvements going through the lap time. This is more like what we'd expect to see from him. He's about 8.5 tenths up at the moment, so going to put him very much in the mix in that top 10. And that's really where you need to be. That's where you want to be. You see Pixley coming out the corner. Oh no, it's the same thing we saw before. He was 8 tenths up. He won't continue that lap. Contact between Pixley and Dixon. That is almost a reportable moment. However, it's a very difficult one to manage because what we're finding is we're getting drivers who are setting up for the hot lap, and they're taking that kind of really deep line through Goddard's and V'ing off the corner and going again. You get the guys who are on the flying lap doing exactly what Miles is doing, keeping it nice, tight and compact around a corner, and you get these incidents. Unfortunately, it's just part and parcel of the way this circuit is set up. Here comes Ash Coupland out the final corner. He is going to improve. I don't think it's going to be enough to put him on pole. It isn't. He's going to be just behind a tenth or so behind Jay Brooker. Karolis Jurgelis was also improving. He's invalidated his lap, so he won't get any more time or positions on the table. A man who is improving, though, is this man, Matt Comiskey. He's on for a few tenths gained, about a quarter of a second, maybe more. He comes through Goddard's for another time. He's got one of the other McLarens, one of the many McLarens in front of him. He bounces over the exit curve, but does improve up into P18 with a 1:27.847. Just went back and got it right. It is Thanksgiving today. Thank you, Andy. I'm glad I got it right. I had a feeling it might have been. I mean, in fact, let me rephrase that. I had no idea it was Thanksgiving today. Was aware it was on the horizon. So happy Thanksgiving to you, Andy, and happy Thanksgiving to any of our viewers from across the pond as well. Feel free to spam the American flags in the chat if you so feel obliged. So just under, 6 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Here is Mark Cooper. He is improving, but he's got a Ferrari in front of him. As he does, invalidates that lap. Not ideal having that car just in front of him on track. Can't quite tell who that is. The guy in P30, I can tell you that much. It's not Colin Dunn, it's Amadeo Pagliara in the Monk of Monza car, who's 5 tenths up at the moment, so he's going to be improving. This is a competitive qualifying session, it has to be said. The top 29 separated by 2 seconds at the moment, so very, very close indeed. That's going to be even different now, because Pagliara goes up into P24, a good improvement from him. Let's have a look back up the top end to see if we've got any improvements. LR. I've no idea. I don't know if that's what I meant to see, Andy, but let's go with it anyway. Don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, Vojinovic in the 223 hexagonation, the Buxner machine. I don't really know what Buxner stands for. It looks like it stands for something. He is improving as it stands. He is improving enough to get himself up into what would have been third, is now fourth. Because Dan Crinson has just put himself in between Vojinovic and Jurgelis. Although his improvement, if he keeps it clean, should get him up in past Jurgelis and up into third place. See across the line. He does very, very justly, only with a few hundredths of a second spare. Another man who's improving early on in the lap is this man, Adam Masalovic, in the Markada Racing Team car, the Unicorn Puke livery, as Mark and Adam like to refer to it as, and I can kind of see why. It seems about right in terms of how you would describe that. Comes through onto Starkey Straight, still improving at the moment, not improving by enough at the moment to make any real dent on the top few drivers. But I mean, that just shows you how close it is. He's got to gain half a second to get himself up there. But to be fair, he's done a very good job going through there. The problem is he's got traffic in front of him. Who's the 120 car? I remember the name. I can't remember which person it is. Right down at the end, it's Nedelcu, Romanian car driving the Sky Tempesta Racing livery, and that's Simon Carson ahead of him, who's currently in 11th place. That has hampered Adam's time significantly. He's lost 2 tenths in that one. Does improve, but not enough to gain another position. It was the US flag. I can promise you, Andy, it's not what I see. I can literally, for some reason, just see LR. Good old YouTube doing bits. Maybe we don't put emojis into the chat there. Maybe it's not a massive fan then, clearly. So got the possibility of probably 2, maybe 3 laps left for some drivers, depending on when they cross the line. There's still time on the table for people to improve. Who's not going to be improving at the moment? I think, to be fair, everyone's got a chance of putting a lap time in. There's quite a few people in the pit lane. We can see Hewlett, Van der Strauss, Cooper, Van Collenberg, Derek Omlo, and a number of others currently sitting in pit lane. And at the moment, the only man who's improving is this man in the top end of the standings. It's Jurgelis does improve. Oh, it's so close to being second on the grid. Hello, Joran, in the chat. You should be doing a qualifying lap, sir. You are only in P23. Admittedly, you're only a second and a half off the pace, which shows you how bloody close this is going to be this evening. I'm very excited for this. Man who is also improving is this man, Mark Roddenberry, in a limited edition Positive Perception livery this evening. More about that later on in the year is probably the best way I can explain that. But I did say Mark is quite fond of this track and car combination. He does like how the BMW fares around this Donington Park circuit. He's got Dan Crinson ahead of him, putting a lap time in. Mark is potentially going to improve. No, he's not. Gets a little bit of oversteer coming out of Goddard's through there. I'm done with my qualifying. There's no way I can improve that VTOP. I mean, that is fair enough, mate. That is a You're clearly finding a groove with that V12. It's doing you bits, as they would say. Here comes Matt Comiskey in the appropriately named MC Racing McLaren 720. Very nice kind of purple, white and black livery, that I have to say. Always been a fan of the purple liveries. Can't go wrong with a bit of that. Half a second up at the moment, so he is going to be, if he keeps this clean and tidy, putting himself right in the mix of things. Just keeping an eye on some of the other ones. Vojinovic is improving as well. Was improving by enough to potentially put himself up towards the top 2, but has lost a bit of time over the last couple of corners. He's dropping back a little bit. No one in the top 2 improving, so Austin and Coupland both setting, well, not setting personal bests, but should both have enough time to put another lap in, assuming they've got enough fuel in hand to sort that. Comiskey's still improving, still 4/10 up. That's not going to put him into the top 4 or 5 like we might have expected him to, unless he gets this really right. See as he comes out of the final corner, out through Goddard's, loses a bit of time, get across the line. Where's he going to go to? Up into 9th with a 1:27.077. He'll have enough time to put another lap on the board. Asalovic now coming across the line. He's improving, puts himself up into P5. He also will have another lap time to improve. But the top 4, importantly, all improving as they come through the final couple of moments of this qualifying session. Vojinovic will be the first one to set a lap time. Is he going to do enough to get himself up a position on there? He's not. He's still got enough time, though, to put a lap time in. So he's still got one more chance. And he's done the fastest first and second sectors of anyone in this session. Here comes Jurgelis crossing the line. The clock has hit 0. So now no one will be able to set another lap time after these are completed. So this is hell for leather for these guys. Coupland is not improving. He is halfway round his lap. This is the one we want to be keeping an eye on. Jurgelis in hand and potentially on track to get that pole position. He's been the fastest on the track so far on this lap. He's got time in hand. If he keeps this clean and tidy, he might be in for a pole position. All very slippery. Out of the final corner, is it going to be enough? It's not. Gains about 1/2 tenth, but importantly, it's not enough to get the absolute lap time for the pole position. That will looks like for all intents and purposes, it will be going to Leighton Austin. Ash Coupland can't improve. He's not going to be improving that lap time by the looks of it. Vojinovic has got one more chance. Here comes John Gray. Crosses the line. He will improve. Will it be enough to get another position? No, it will not be. We've got Mark Raddenbury now coming into the final couple of corners. We'll go back to some of the other guys in just a second. Most of the guys here have finished their flying laps. Raddenbury's got a couple of tenths in hand. Vojinovic is also behind him. So he is that BMW you can see just between himself and Crinson. Crinson, for all intents and purposes, looks like he will not improve. Raddenbury will, though. He's going to have a chance here to go last lap wonder. Will he improve? What's he going to get to? Does improve. Only gets one position, though, as Vojinovic crossed the line as well. Doesn't improve his lap time. So it will be Leighton Austin who will take pole position in this one. The top 14, ladies and gentlemen, separated by less than a second. The top, however many have we got? The top 30 separated by just the 2 seconds. This is going to be a super spicy affair, and I am very much looking forward to it because that is awesome. Love that. Fantastic qualifying session. Leighton Austin, as I said before, will start on pole. Karolis Jurgelis will be alongside him. We will go into the we'll go onto the grid in just a second to take you through everyone on the grid. What have we got here? Not the fastest, pretty fun to enjoy the V12. It's quite a challenge. That's what makes it fun. That's exactly what we like to see. Good to see there, Joran. Good effort from you, mate. It is, yeah, I don't like the car. It's very understeery for me. I'm sure it's fixable. But yeah. Andy Hustings. I race myself. I'm interested in joining a team. Do you know how I do something like that? What you do, Andy, is you drop me a DM on Discord. And I will have a chat with you and see what we can do. Pace is of no care to us. We just enjoy having fun, mate. So, yeah, you are more than welcome. Drop me a DM in Discord, David Wrestle. And, yeah, let's see what we can do, mate. Because it'd be nice to expand us into foreign waters more as well. We've got a few people from across the pond. We've got someone in Singapore as well, I think, in the team. It'd be nice to go the other way over to the US and have a chat with yourself as well. Pretty understeer, yeah. That is the one kind of overriding characteristic that I found with the Aston Martin V12. It is understeery as holy hell, is the best way I would explain that particular machine. Right, let me put the batteries into the Posper Segway and let's go and have a look through this rather beautiful grid that we have on display for us this evening. I'm going to focus on the race, have fun. Say hi to Shane, my girlfriend, if she happens to watch. Well, Shane, if you're watching, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for supporting your lovely man, Yoran. He is a good egg. We do have a lot of time for him in the Posper team. And when are we going to get you on the grid? Because that seems like fun. I've been trying to get my missus to do this for years, and she never will. So you might find it a losing battle, but you never know. Wrong word was put in. I did wonder, Andy, if that was what you meant to do. I will pick up that with you after this race is done. So let's have a look through the grid for the start of this one. Let me just do my fancy stuff so I can make it look like it's really smooth, but actually I'm just fixing it up so it's really easy for me. So let's go through the grid. Oh my god, we're going far too quick on the segue. Let's turn the horsepower down a little bit for this one. Leighton Austin, as we mentioned, will start on pole position. Karolis Jurgelis alongside him. It's a West Competition Racing 1-3, as we can see Coupland and Vojinovic on the second row of the grid. We have lost P6 by the looks of it, which is a little bit weird. I don't actually know who that is. It's Dan Crinson we've lost. I've just noticed. Adam Misalovic will be a sole driver on the third row of the grid. Jay Brooker and John Gray will be alongside or behind those two, behind him. Matt Comiskey and Craig Hewlett 8th and 9th. This might change, so I might have to rejig the numbers in a moment. Liam Knott, last of the top 10 drivers. Van der Strauss alongside him. Mark Raddenbury in that limited edition Posper livery. That is a stunner. Yeah, if you want to know a bit more about that, then you're going to have to wait and see when we decide to tell you all about that one. It's very interesting indeed. Simon Carson alongside him. Mark Neutelings in the 666 car is in 14th place with Harry Tuomanen alongside him. Is that a yo-ho-ho, we're all having rum? Yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum. Sorry, I knew it was something like that. That's a very nice livery, actually, I have to say. Not a rum drinker, but it's very nice indeed. Pixley will be in 16th place with Ollie Giel in the EMI old school British GT McLaren livery in 17th place. Robinson will be in 18th with Mark Cooper alongside him, and Ivo van Collenberg will round out the top 20. Steve Derrick is in 21st, and the aforementioned Joran Omlo in that Rogue V12 is in 22nd place. Lisa Louise alongside him in that amazing looking livery on the BMW M4. We've then carry on down. We've got Amadeo Pagliara and Dominic Chaumont, 24th and 25th on the grid. We've then got Mike Richards and Freddie Coleman-Evans in 26th and 27th. Chris Jenkins and Nick Karianis are in 28th and 29th. Opo and Colin Dunn round out your top 30 and 31st positions. Rob Bessent in 32nd. Ricardo Maciera in 33rd. Tobias Hackinson 34th. Nedelchu in 35th. And then we round out the grid with Michael de Groot in 36th. Oh my god, I can't even say the bloody word. 36th and final position on the grid for this one. 60 minutes is the tour of this one. I cannot see that Dan Crinson has been able to return to the server, which is heartbreaking to see. I'm hoping he does get a chance to sort that. I can't. He's had to sort something out. Can't get back in. That is heartbreaking. Real big shame for that one. But we are 10 seconds away, if that, from the start of this race. Let's get over to the on-track action and let's see how these guys get on. What we're also going to do is we're going to bring in Mr. Raddenbury into the chat as well. I'll have a quick natter with him on the formation. Let's pull him in to the broadcasting channel right now. Mr. Raddenbury, starting just outside the top 10, gained a position courtesy of Dan Crinson having been unable to rejoin the server. Is that kind of where you're expecting? I know you're a big fan of the BMW around this circuit.
There was another 10th in me. I think I could have got another 10th out of this car. But it's so tight in the mid-pack that I don't think it would have jumped me very high.
To be fair, mate, it's tight across the whole grid. There's about, I think it was a second and a half over the top 25 and about 2 seconds over the top 30. So,
wow.
It's strategy is going to be equally important, of course. What are you?
There we go. Strategy. I knew you'd start talking about.
What are you thinking? Strategy ahead of this evening. What's the plan?
Well, I doubt anyone's going to be listening that's going to be racing. I've actually brimmed at the BMW. So I'm going for my classic, let's go for the shortest pit stop we can. And it's purely going to be on what's around me as to when I'm going to go into the pits.
Good plan. I like that. I can actually see that you've gained another position because Thomas van der Strauss has not been able to ready up in time. So he'll be starting from the pit lane. So P11 off the start. Be interesting to see whether that does put you on the... Oh, no, it will put you on the inside because you gained a position and then you gained it again because he's not in it, so you should be on the inside. And how important is that when you're going into the first corner at someone like Donington Park to have the inside line, do you think?
It's quite important at Donington because obviously you get a lot of people that will drift wide on the exit. So if you're on the outside, you're going to get somebody sideswiping you.
Yeah, it's a very good
So
point.
I like the inside. I can rotate the BMW nicely. So yeah.
Good to hear. And obviously it's a old school circuit, so you've got no runoff. You're in the gravel and you're very slow, which is equally as important when it comes to this. So, like I say, you're running 11. So expectations for the race for this one, like you say, we know that the BMW is pretty handy around here. What are your kind of hopes and expectations? And don't say the whole I just want to finish higher than started thing. I think we can do this.
I think we can get top 10.
That's what I want to hear. I love it. I'm going to love you and leave you because I can see you getting ready to go now.
You're
so good luck
wrong,
for the race.
David. I'm on the outside, David.
Yes, you are. Well,
yes,
that's ACC's fault. You can't blame me for that. Well, good luck. Have an amazing race, and yeah, we'll speak to you later. Good luck.
Thank you.
Moving back to the right channel. Mark Raddenbury there, Positive Perception owner and founder. Nice to have a chat with him every now and again, but we can see that our focus has to change now to the battles on track because Leighton Austin and Carolus Jurgelis are going to run us away for the 60 minutes here at Donington Park for round 4 of the Positive Perception GT Championship. We'll be in green any moment now. And it's lights out, away we go at Donington Park. Jurgelis gets a great start, getting ahead of Austin off the start. Copeland drops back a little bit. Vojinovic gets himself up into P3. It's going to be Jurgelis and Austin side by side go through the first corner. It looks like, majoritively speaking, everyone's gotten through cleanly. It's the 3 wide going through there. Looks like one of the Orcapose racing cars has been dropped out down the exit there. Let's go down towards the crane of curves. They come down for the first time. Leighton Austin has that lead. Importantly for him, we can see a little bit of contact was there between Vojinovic and Copeland. I can see Copeland's dropped right the way back down. We'll catch a replay of that. There he is off into the gravel in the background. Unfortunate for him. Didn't see what happened there. Nick Carson wants Simon Carson for the AM class win. He's certainly looking good for that, although Harry Twyman might have something to say about that. But across the first half of the lap, it's Leighton Austin leads from Carolus Jurgelis with Dusan Vojinovic in third place. Adam Misalovic has been pushed out wide as he goes through Coppice. I was about to say he's fourth. He's not anymore. John Gray inherits that position, but he's got Jay Brooker all over the back of his car. You can see him just on the left-hand side of your screen there as they go down Starkey straight into the foggy S's. Will Brooker hold it round the outside? No, Gray's going to hold the position. Simple move there for him. And Asalovic has been caught up in more incidents. Simon Carson included in there as well. It's heartbreak for the Carson family over this first lap. You can see them both pointing in the wrong direction. We'll get some proper replays once things calm down in a second. Mark Raddenbury's had a storming start up into P8 from P11 ahead of Asalovic, the aforementioned, who's been caught up in that. In fact, he's miles ahead of him. That's the timing tower deciding it doesn't want to show us the right information just yet. But as we go through the first lap of this race, it is Leighton Austin who leads the way from Jurgelis, who leads that from Vojinovic in third place. And there is a nice, decent gap back to John Gray, who apparently is at the fastest lap of the race. It's not really going to make much difference right now. Let's be completely honest. It's actually because the top 3 have all invalidated their first lap. They would have been faster otherwise. Let's go through the crane of curves once more. So Gray, 4th place. Brooker in 5th. Comiskey, Hewlett, Raddenbury, Knott and Pixley, your top 10. If you look a bit further down, we can see that Asalovic and Carson both down at the back end of the grid. So it's no AM win. You're absolutely right, Nick, for that one. Unless Simon can do an absolute storm on the strategy, it could work in his favour. We never know. As we see, we've got another car off. That's Lisa Louise off into the barrier. We'll come back to that one in just a second. Let's go back and see what happened over these first couple of corners. We want to look for Mr. Copeland first. Where is he down there? He is down in P29, right behind the Mercedes AMG of Nick Karayanis. Let's go and have a look and see what happened with this one. I'm trying to find the right one. Where is he? Car 88. Why can't I see his name on there? There it is. It's a 4-car incident, apparently, according to this. You can see him and Vojinovic side by side as they go into the corner. It looked to me like, yeah, Vojinovic just coming across the side there. Not much Copeland could have done. Maybe a little bit of room for manoeuvre needed between the two of them there. I can actually see Raddenbury was included in this as well. So we'll go back to the same incident and just see if there was anything untoward here. Just comes into that. Oh, just a little tap on Comiskey there. Nothing too crazy. Didn't actually offset the car too much in the end, fortunately for him. Let's go and have a look at what happened with Simon Carson as well. That was coming together, of course, with Adam Misalovic, who was knocked out a little bit earlier on in the lap. This is coming down towards the Fogarty S's, down Starkey straight. Is it going to be a case of, yeah, Carson just a little bit hot and heavy into the corner there? Not much he could have done. And actually, got that immediate karma returned to him, because as soon as he did that, the spinning Asalovic took him out of the equation as well. Now let's have a look for Lisa Louise. Let's see what's happened with her in this one. Coupland in the pits. So she's coming down the crane of curves as well. That's going to be a Rogue Ferrari behind her. It's no contact yet. In fact, there was no contact. Oh, there it is. There's the contact. She's been nudged in the back by the number 90 car, which is Mike Richards in the end there. So unfortunate for her. Looked like she was losing the back end of the car anyway, and unfortunately just got turned around by the car behind in the form of Mike Richards. Nick Carson, you deserved that. Look, I can't be too biased one way or another in the comms box, Nick, but I kind of agree. A little bit deep on the brakes, and I think, like you say, it's one of those. It is unfortunate, but I think he kind of got his just desserts in the sense of the fact that as soon as Salovic was spun round, he was collected as part of that as well. So understandable. At the front of the grid, though, it is a three-way fight for the lead of this race. Leighton Austin having all the pressure put on him at the moment. He is still sitting in first place. Pole leads the way in the first 3 laps of this one as they come down the crater curves for the 3rd time. Jurgelis is closely followed by Vojinovic. Jurgelis is doing a little bit more looking in his mirrors than he is looking ahead of him at the moment. Vojinovic looks to the inside. Not a position where you'd really look to make a move there, and compromises his exit slightly there, which is unfortunate for him. As they come up to under Starkey's bridge and up towards McLean's. If you look further back, we've got Craig Hewlett under a bit of pressure from Mark Raddenbury. Battle for P7 here. Raddenbury gets very close under braking. That BMW, a bit of a beast around here. I've mentioned a few times, shown by the fact there's 2 of them in the top 10. The only other car with 2 in the top 10 is the Porsche. Oh no, the Ferrari as well. We've got Ferrari 1st and 10th. And the Lamborghini as well. I immediately retract my point because it has no value anymore in this conversation. Let's have a look around. Mike Richards, was of course the one who gave Lisa Louise a little bit of a helping hand coming out of the crane of curves and pushed her right the way back. Is sitting in P18 at the moment. He's got Cooper, Chaumont and Pagliara close for company behind him, although he has got to bridge the gap a little bit there. I suppose his main focus now is going to be trying to stick on to the back of the man in front of him, Ivo van Collenberg, in the Orcapose Racing Ferrari. So we're just starting to see things just britch out a little bit. As we see, I did see Dan Crinson. Yeah, I did see him confirm he needs to sort race labs. Couldn't get back into the server. That is heartbreaking for you, man. I was really looking forward to seeing how you'd get on. Fortunately, it's something that we do put in place solely to ensure, because we have so many beautiful liveries on show in these series, we want to make sure that people don't get impacted if people join late. One who should have a lovely livery on is this man, Jay Brooker. He should have one of the Turn 1 SimSport racing liveries, but I can't see it, which is rather disappointing. I know who designs them, because I've done one, and I know Mark's done a few as well, so I know for a fact they are very nice indeed. It's a very nice colour combination of the fluoro green and purple and black that tends to be on those ones. I have noticed very warm track, 24 degrees ambient and 32 track temperature. Probably the hottest that Donington Park has ever been in the history of mankind, I would think. So it does put a bit more strain on the tyres, but I still think that I wouldn't have expected that anyone is going to try and do a tyre stop in this race. It would be a little bit detrimental to you over anyone else if you did do that, because I can't imagine anyone else will. Time to celebrate with the family, Andy says. I'll watch the race a little later and message you when I can. Yes, please do, Andy. I wait for your message eagerly. Yeah, have a chat. See what we can do for you. I'd love to get you involved. Because that's where I enjoy it the most. I enjoy being part of the team. It's nice to have people around you. Not part of a team this evening, though, because nobody's here to keep me company in the comms box. What's happened here? This is Michael de Groot. Looks like he's had a bit of a coming together with Ricardo Macieras. Let's see if we can spot what's happened here. I think it's this incident we can see as they go through down Starkey straight up to the fog of the S's. Maciera coming into the S's very deep on the brakes, spins around Michael de Groot, and rather appropriately and rather fairly appears to wait for him to get back onto the track, which is exactly what we encourage here at the POSPER community. Is if you are going to make an incident, look, people are human, these things can happen, just give the position back. And look, doesn't mean we're gonna not look at it. We're gonna look at it lightly, but what it does mean is that we're not going to be as harsh on you if that does happen, because it's nice. It's good sportsmanship at the end of the day. So just under 10 minutes in, Leighton Austin leading the way still from Jurgelis from Vojinovic, so that much has stayed the same. The only difference off the start is the fact that Coupland is now right at the back of the grid. He is last on the road, but importantly, has served his pit stop. He is the only driver to have done so at this moment in time. He is currently running quicker laps than everyone bar the top 3. And John and Graham, Jay Brooker on the last lap. So he's got a bit of work to do. I can actually see that Miles Dixon has disappeared from the race as well. So clearly not particularly happy with his pace in this one. So he's got a bit of well, he's not going to be getting that clean sweep is one thing that we can definitely confirm as part of this. Have a look through and see what else is going on. We've got Van der Straus and Poe battling for P26. P26, sorry. P24. What am I talking about? The timing tower is not quite right yet. Still having a figuring itself out. But Poe's going up the inside. That's going to be the outside as they go in towards Redgate. They've got Adam Misalovic behind him, who is one of the quicker drivers on the standings. He's going to be careful here. He's got to be a little bit patient. Just mindful that he's not going to have anything going on. Freddie Coleman Evans has escaped stage right at the entrance to Redgate. So let's see what happened. Exit to Redgate. Let's see what happened here. Is he taking a bit too much curb? Getting a little bit busy on the loud pedal. He has indeed a little bit of spin of the car there. Not a huge amount he could have done, and loses a hatful of positions as a result. Back towards the back end of the top 10. Rich Pixley under some serious pressure from Liam Knott, who is also under pressure from Mark Neutlings, who's also under pressure from the man of the hour, Joran Omlo. If his missus is watching, she is going to be absolutely buzzing with this. He's got really good form for this. He's gained 8 positions off the start. At the 24 Hours of Kyle Army last weekend, we did 2 race starts. I think he gained about 50 positions in total. So he's clearly showing how he's got this ability to almost act as if he's like a hot knife through butter when it comes to these races. Very, very good making up places in the early knockings of a race. The gap to P1, the top 3 rather I should say, is getting very, very large. John Gray, a cork in the bottle to a certain extent, so much so that I've just noticed that Mark Raddenbury has decided to go into the pits to get his early pit stop done. Let's see if we can spot how long he's actually sat stationary for. We can't because he's not moving anywhere. I wonder what's happened there. He's still not moving. I'm bored of that. Let's not go and look at that anymore. Nobody wants to just watch someone sat in the pit lane doing nothing. There you go. You can see he served his pit stop because he has that green mark against his name. So we'll see where he comes out in relation to Ash Coupland. That's the important one. Can we see where he is? He's moving now. Ash Coupland just coming through Goddard's now. So he's going to come out just ahead of Ash. So it's going to be close between the two of them. I would imagine that Ash will probably catch up to a certain extent over the next couple of laps or so. He's obviously had the chance to kind of bed in a little bit. Could be a smart decision from Mark to do that. Same with Omlo as well. Same with Coupland. Coupland's was forced to an extent, but it's good to see that they've kind of make some different ideas around. So we see Jay Brooker finding a way or fighting away with Matt Comiskey, and that's giving Craig Hewlett a chance to get onto the scene as well. It's a 3-way battle for P5. Comiskey's just about going to get the move done, is he? He's going to go deep into Goddard's. That's going to give Jay Brooker a chance to get back up the inside, gets the cutback going. He's not going to be enough alongside. I wouldn't have thought. No, he isn't. He's going to be just behind him as they go down towards Redgate for another time. Is he going to look for a move into the braking zone? No, he is not. So that is a move completed by Matt Comiskey, and he's going to try and catch up with his good pal and friend Johnny Gray, who is sitting now 8.5 seconds off the guys in front. So they have massively checked out and are setting an electric bit of pace ahead of those ahead of those behind them. Like I say, starting with John Gray, they're a second a lap faster at the moment, which is incredible to see. As you go further back, Ivo van Kollenberg has got a few cars pressurising him from behind. Mike Richards, the main kind of contender for that one, battling for P15. We've got Dominic Chamon, Mark Cooper, and Amadeo Pagliara and Chris Jenkins all within a second of each other behind them as well. Steve Derrick just about a second and a bit up the road. Van Kollenberg though gets a little bit of a squirmy exit out of Coppice and onto the Starkey Straight. It looks like Richards is going to have the move done, is he, before they go into the S's. Whether Van Kollenberg is going to try and battle this one through the ears. Oh, dearie me. 2 into 1, never going to go there. You're not going to ever get 2 cars going through there side by side. And Van Kollenberg does give Richards the tap and sends him spinning into the GP part of the circuit. Dominic Chamon making perfect opportunistic moves as a result of that, gets himself up into P15 in the EGT Challenge Motorsport car. It's lovely to see our Canadian friends attacking this circuit with Positive Perception this season. Great to see some of these guys out. I've done plenty of commentary with the guys over at EGT, or commentating on them, I should say. Never fail to bring some real quick guys into the mix and some great racing with them to boot as well. But Van Collenberg there, not the finest of corners there. Mike Richards has dropped back to P21, so he's dropped back around probably about 10 seconds back to those guys. So not too bad in the grand scheme of things, but also, of course, not what you would have wanted at that stage of the race. Here is another battle. Jay Brooker has dropped back massively from Comiskey here. I've just noticed he's dropped 3 seconds on the last lap. He actually dropped a 1.7 seconds on the last tour of the circuit and lost about the same time to Robinson, who's in that kind of yellowy gold Ferrari just behind. And then, like I say, got Craig Hewlett, who is looking to make a bit of a move on these guys. Of course, the important thing to note here, we're looking at the class championships, is that Robinson in the pro class, Hewlett and Brooker, sorry, I should say, in the silver class. So it's not necessarily important here for Jay to hold on to that position. It is important, though, for him to hold on ahead of Craig Hewlett because he's leading that silver class. And as we see there, it does pit. So might be a sensible move from him. Get himself a little bit of time out of clear air, get a little bit of the pressure out of the way, and then see if he can go again. And yeah, in a bit of clear air, maybe put some faster lap times in and see what he can do as a byproduct of that. Just casting my eye in the timing tower back to those who have pitted. Raddenbury still the first of those, understandably. And we'll see where he comes out in, or where Jay Brooker, sorry, comes out in relation to him. That is the worst pit camera I've ever seen. So there's Brooker coming out of the pit lane. He's going to come out quite a way ahead of Raddenbury by the looks of it. Yes, he is. He's going to have a sizable gap to Posper Bossman, who just comes out of Goddard. So this is going to be, this is meat and drink for the Lamborghini driver, the T1 SR car. So Mark, yeah, up into the 30th now. And Cooper will follow him suit as Nick Karayanis serves his pit stop as well. Back up to the front. It is still 1, 2, 3, Austin, Jurgelis, Vojinovic. And they are still nose to tail. You can barely throw a bedsheet between the three of them as Vojinovic goes a little bit deep into Goddard's. That's going to put him off a little bit. He did the fastest lap of anyone on the last time round and lost half a second to Jurgelis and a full 8/10 to Austin on that time round. So a little bit of work to do for Vojinovic to bring that gap back. He's just over a second back now. That could be all important for these two battling for the top two. Just that little bit of breathing room might be all they need. Look at that. Look at them steaming their way down through the crater curves. That is an awesome camera angle to watch. Let's see if we can get another one of these again. Because we've got Harry Tuominen with Neutelings and Gilles in tow behind him. Well, these guys are even closer than, in fact, I'm sorry, I have to go and do this again because I have to go and watch these guys because they're even closer than they were before. So same camera angle. Let's see how this one looks as we go through here. It's Van Collenberg, followed by Cooper, followed by Isalovic. Although Cooper is alongside as they go through. This is going to be an absolute barnstorm of an angle. Look at this side by side as they go through the crater curves and down towards the old hairpin Cooper. On the inside, is he going to make it stick? No, he's not. Oh, he's going to get a little bit crossed up as he goes through. Isalovic is going to try and make that move. He's going to get the position done. Very opportunistic from the number 111 Ferraris. Of course, he's second in the championship, and any points he gets here will open the door for him to have a chance to battle with Miles Dixon going into the final round. So all important, this one. For Isalovic, that incident at the start, an absolute nightmare for him. But if he keeps doing what he's doing, he will get back up there and he will get some serious points back on board. And that's all he's going to be focusing on. He's going to try and dispatch Van Collenberg here as soon as he can. He's very close going into the Fogarty S's. Doesn't have anything coming there. It's just a matter of time, I feel, that we just need to wait. As I was just about to say it, we were going to wait for a drive-through. And case in point, Van Collenberg gets that drive-through for track limits. I was about to say they are on their way at some point soon, and there you go. Prime example. It is so difficult here when you're battling with people lap after lap after lap to not cause that, to not have that problem. And Van Collenberg immediately peels down pit lane and will serve that penalty. So that gives Isalovic another position along with Cooper and Pagliara and a handful of others as well. Back up to the battle for P2 now. The battle for P1 has subsided a little bit. Jurgelis just dropping back a touch to to Austin on the last lap. 5 seconds, half a second is the gap now, or was the gap on the last lap that Austin has gained by on that tour of the circuit. So Vojinovic now very much looking ahead, and Jurgelis very much looking behind rather than in front of him for the time being. This is potentially going to play into Austin's hands, because what Austin's going to hope they do is they battle, and then that gap continues to extend. The gap that is continued to extend is the gap between Vojinovic and Gray, that is now nearly 14 seconds as we enter lap 13 of this race. It's pretty much a second a lap these guys are gaining, which is seriously impressive stuff. And just as I was talking about the fact that Austin might want to pull away, he's half a second slower than the rest of these two guys, and as a result falls back to within a second for them. This is ebbing and flowing very, very nicely indeed, this early stage race. You can see Andrea Nedelchu's got a drive-through penalty as well, so that's a second one for track limits that we've seen so far. Can we see any other ones further down the grid? No, we cannot. Just doing that to have a quick look. As Van der Strauss tries to go, or tries to defend, sorry, I should say, to Poe in the Aston Martin AMR F1 liveried car. Doesn't manage to defend successfully, and Colin Dunn looking eagerly at the back of these two and wondering whether there's going to be a chance for any moves for himself going to. Salovic also has a drive-through now, so all of that work we're talking about, he's managed to get the move done. He has lost all of that because now he's back. He's going to have to drop back around the gap to around the battle with Van Kollenberg once more. Of course, has served his drive-through penalty already. Nedelchu, we could see there, also serving his drive-through penalty instantly. A lot of people electing to serve their penalties immediately when they've been applied, which is maybe a sensible move. We'll never know. Let's have a look back here. So this is Simon Carson, who is battling away with Mike Richards. Nick will be watching carefully, I'm sure, to see how his family member, a relative. You've told me before, Nick, I'm sure, about the relation between the two of you, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is. So please feel free to remind me. But you're absolutely right. He's doing everything he needs to do at the moment to at least try and keep the miracle alive of that AM class victory. He's only got one person ahead of him in the AM class, and that is the man in P9, Harry Tuomanen, in the 83 Lamborghini. I'm just looking at the gap between them. It's about it's 18 seconds at the moment. So that's still plenty. There's still plenty enough time left in this race for that to whittle down, I would argue, as long as he can dispatch people quickly as possible. We'll see how he gets on. He's actually running some good lap times. He's a tenth off, half a tenth off, sorry, his personal best on the last lap. So really good to see that he is doing a fantastic job to redeem himself to an extent. Let's have a look back further up. Let's go back to the battle for the lead, because this is really difficult not to watch, in fairness, because they are so close together. There's not a lot happening in terms of action between the three of them, but this is a clinic on how to put in consistent fast laps. More kind of mid to low 27s for the three of them. Fastest one on that time was Vojinovic, a 127.1, a 127.255 Jurgelis, and a 127.422 for Leighton Austin. So they're trading fastest lap times, but as you see there again, like it was a couple of laps ago, Austin just builds a gap. Vojinovic drops them to the back of Jurgelis again, so we just have that ebb and flow going on at the moment. So it's very interesting to see how this pans out. I've just noticed we're already 23 minutes pretty much into this race, which is ridiculous when I think about it. It feels like we only started the race about 5 minutes ago, and we've already had enough action really to fill us for a whole season, I would argue, which is always good to see. You can see further down in the timing charts, these two battling again. Poe and Van der Strauss still throwing shapes to each other, and we'll see whether Poe can hold on to the position on this occasion. Is Van der Strauss going to get the move done? He's going to have the inside line. Is he going to Redgate under braking? He's going to keep it very close between the two of them. It's going to be side by side through Redgate. A little bit of contact as they exit the corner, and that is going to be a position lost for Poe. In fact, it's going to be two positions lost. The hip check, you would argue, from Van der Strauss there, just drifted a little bit wide, and as a result, that's going to shift Poe down 2 positions into P21. He's got a Salovic close behind. And there is a McLaren facing backwards in the background. That is Nedelcu there. Let's see if we can get a quick replay and see what happened here. Is he going to get a bit of a nudge from Misalovic? He is. Oh, yeah, just got turned around. Very similar to the Lisa Louise incident a few laps before, earlier on in the race. I should say it's not really a few laps ago anymore. So, yeah, very unfortunate incident for him. Yeah, just got a little bit slow out of the final corner, out of the old hairpin, and as a result, just got a little bit of a nudge from the rapidly approaching car of Adam Misalovic. So, unfortunate connection between the two of them there. Back up to the battle for P2 again. Again, the gap to Austin and Jurgelis just expanding a little bit. And the gap between Vojinovic and Jurgelis shrinking ever closer by the second. It's just over a tenth at the moment as Jurgelis gets a little bit of a swapper on coming out of Koppis. We'll see if that's going to give Vojinovic any encouragement going down Starkey Straight. He's going to look to the outside. It's going to be side by side as they go into the S's. He's going to hold it there. This is going to compromise the exit line of Jurgelis massively. He's going to have to abort to the exit road. Or to the gravel, you would say. It's actually benefited him more than anything because he's gained about half a second in the end. Probably got a track limit warning for his troubles, you would expect. That is everything that, well, it's not only everything that Jurgens would have wanted out of that in terms of gaining some time, it's everything that Leighton Austin will be wanting as well, because that has given him around about 4/10 of a gap to the guys behind him. So that's very important for him. We'll see what the lap times are as they cross. It's 27.6 for Austin. It's 2:28.2s. 1:28.2s, but two of them, I should say, for Jurgelis and Vojinovic. So half a second pretty much between those guys of the improvement there. So massive help there for Leighton Austin as we come towards the midpoint of this race. Now, what I was about to say is that Colin Dunn was very close to the back of Rob Besson, but I'm guessing something happened here. He immediately lost some time. Oh, yeah, went a bit deep into Koppis there. I think it looked like he was maybe just trying to do a bit of avoiding action to ensure that he didn't hit the back of Besson. Fortunately, he didn't. But it looks like that might have been what happened. Back to the battle at P15. It's Richards followed by Carson, followed by Pagliara, followed by, I think that's Chris Jenkins in the background. And this is impacting Simon's run through the field. Like I say, he's dropping back a little bit, I think, to Omen at the moment. In fact, he's actually gaining time. I apologise. He's gaining time on Tuomainen, not so much on that lap, it seems. But back to the gap, about 16 seconds now as he gets a really good run through the old hairpin. He's not going to have enough, I don't think, to get that move done, though. As we see, Pagliara's dropped right the way back there between those two. So probably had an incident that I've just completely missed because I'm completely blind to these sorts of things. It's very difficult when you're having to manage the cameras and the comms at the same time, but we'll make do. These two are nose to tail as they go through Koppis one more time. But Simon Carson not able to get the move done as it stands. He's still having to sit behind Mike Richards for the moment. Bit of work to do for Carson. If it was me in this position, I'd be pitting early now, getting yourself some clear air and seeing if you can do anything to work with that and give yourself something to work with in terms of some faster laps maybe if you think you could do it. Of course, Simon's the only one who knows how much quicker he can go. He's a little bit off his personal best at the moment on the last lap, second off pretty much. So we see he does pit, there we go. So he pits as long as Steve Derrick just ahead of him in the Pro GT McLaren. Simon's pulled his finger out while I was away. He has indeed, Nick. He's been doing a good job on the last couple of laps. He's just been sticking very close behind Mike Richards and now potentially looking at an undercut. Getting himself some clear air, putting some lap times in, putting the hammer down and seeing what he can do to improve that now. So just keeping an eye on those who have pitted. Brooker still the highest of the drivers who have pitted. So he is now, you'll see this update in a second, he's now up to P18. Raddenbury a further, what are we talking, a further 6 seconds back. He's in P21. But importantly, no one between him has pitted, so he will be pretty much behind Jay on track once Besson and Dunn both serve their pit stops. And I wonder whether Colin will play the team role and potentially just jump out of Raddenbury's way if the moment arises. We'll see whether they get any closer before Colin decides to pit. Having a look further back, so importantly for Carson, he has come out in 28th at the moment. So he is now quite a shift behind Toyman. I can't tell you how far behind he is because the gaps don't go that far. In fact, oh, he goes wide. There goes wide for the old hairpin. He's in the wall, is he? No! Oh, he's just about avoided the wall. I mean, it's not ideal, but at least he's managed to avoid the wall. We don't know really what happened there. I don't know if he just lost it on the entry. He's gone deep into the corner. Maybe been a bit thrown off by the fact he had, I think it was Van Collenberg in close vicinity behind him. But as a result, gets a swapper on and loses it into the or nearly into the wall, I should say, on the exit of the old hairpin. So Roddenberry goes up into P18, Brooker up into P17, in fact P16, sorry, I should say. Roddenberry up to P17 because Hewlett has also pitted and served his pit stop. So we're starting to see a lot more come into the pits now. Understandable, seeing as we're at the halfway point pretty much of this race. And the first of the front runners, Vojinovic, has pitted and neither of the other two have. So this is an important move. We'll see how that impacts these guys. Vojinovic in the pit lane, Jurgelis second, and Colin Dunn gets a stop go 30 for his troubles. That is heartbreaking to see. The number 19 Lamborghini will have to return to pit lane as Joran Omlo in the background there going very wide through the old hairpin. He's going to have to get a bit of a bouncer on as he comes back onto the circuit. Now what we have to do is we have to keep an eye out to see where Vojinovic is in relation to, well, partly to Brooker. He's still in the pit lane, so he's going to close up a little bit as Brooker, but also to these guys running in the top two, because these guys will now be thinking, right, we've got a gap, we've got no one behind us, let's maybe work together and let's absolutely go for it. It's important to remember that these two are in fact teammates. That is a very important bit of information to bear into consideration. Vojinovic is still in the pit lane, he's just exited. He's 3 seconds ahead of Jay Brooker, so that has worked out for Jay extremely well indeed. Tuomanen has pitted now as well, so he's dropping back down the timing board as a result. So unfortunately for him, I'll say this for your sake, Nick, I don't think he's going to drop back far enough, barring any mishaps for Simon to get any position done. As Jurgelis pits now as well from second place, so Austin will continue on. He's now coming up towards the back markers. It might not have been the smartest move from Austin, might have been a good move from Jurgelis just to get out of the way of those guys and see if he can just get a bit of clear air, because at the moment you're coming up to these back markers can get a little bit difficult because all of these guys as well, remember, are all battling for position. So it's something that Leighton's going to have to be very mindful of as he comes through here. So now what we need to do is we need to figure out where Jurgelis will come out in relation to who's the other guy we're talking about, Vojinovic. He's come out massively ahead. Vojinovic has dropped a good amount, like a chunky amount of time. He's lost about half a minute in the pit stop phase there. Let's see what the stop time was. So it's 36 seconds for Vojinovic, 6 seconds for Jurgelis. That suggests to me that there are fresh boots on this man, Vojinovic, so he might be able to go a hell of a lot quicker in clear air. So now it just remains to be seen. Can Vojinovic gain 30 seconds in the course of this stint? We'll have to wait and see. We've got 28 minutes to find out what will happen, and that is something that is going to keep us all guessing right until the checkered flag in this one, as if we didn't have enough to worry about already. I've been kept very busy throughout this evening. Here is Mark Neutelings, who's battling away with Rich Pixley and Ollie Geel for P6 as it stands. All of these guys still need to pit, so it's not necessarily battle for P6 on the road, as it were, but these guys won't mind. They'll battle regardless. I'm just trying to look to see where Tuomanen is in relation to Carson, because that's what we're keeping an eye on. It looks like they're about 30 or so seconds apart. So that little excursion from Simon has really kind of put him into a bit of a difficult position now. Worth pointing out, I don't know if Poe pitted as well. Poe has pitted as well. So Carson out into third in class now in the AM category. So not what he would have wanted at all. As we see, Leighton Austin continues on for another lap. He's not electing to pit just yet. We can see Omlo in the pit lane on the right-hand side. As we see, oh, big move there from Isalovic. He's trying to unlap himself, it looks like there, because he is right the way down the field. He's in P28. So he's not going to be getting any sort of real points-paying positions in this one, it seems, because he has also pitted. So work to be done for the treble 11 car. But it's a Markada 2x2 at the moment. Neuterlings leads Asalovic, but they're not actually on the same lap. Important to note. Just looking, the gap from Austin to Gray is nearly half a minute now, which is incredible. The amount of time that those top three have really gained on the rest of them. Jenkins in the pit lane, so he's now served his pit stop, or will be serving his pit stop, sorry. He's dropping back down the order as a result. It's really difficult to truly say where everyone is on this circuit at the moment in terms of their absolute position, because everyone's pitting all at different times and I can't really figure it out. I'll be completely honest with you, I can't tell. It's very difficult to keep abreast of all that's going on in this race. As you see, Neutlitz goes deep into the Melbourne loop. Pixley's going to get the cutback. He's going to get the move done in that Nissan GTR, the Wild Things racing machine. The number 7 car, it looks like he has done it. Yes, they're going to Goddard's. Pixley is ahead and up into P6. We see John Gray and Andrew Robinson both enter pit lane. They were very close on circuit as they did pit. And I'm just looking at the gap now. So it's a 30-second gap between Jurgelis and Austin. That is important to note, because if we look at the times it's taken for people to go through the pit lane, you're looking at the minimum time I can see on here is 31 seconds. And that's with an 8-second pit stop from Ivo van Collenberg. So it's going to be interesting to see where these guys come out. In fact, the fastest we have seen is actually Jurgen. So the 29-second pit stop, he was stopped for 6 seconds in total. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Robinson and Gray are back down to 10th, or Gray's 10th, and Robinson's still in the pit lane, so he's going to come out a bit further back. Coupland now up into P13. He's doing a grand job of getting those positions back up where he needs to. Van der Strauss will still need to pit, so he'll be another position that everyone behind, or a lot of people behind him, will take as well. And then at the top end, the only man in the top, or the only 3 people in the top 10 who have pitted are Jurgelis, Vojinovic and Gray. Vojinovic was quicker than Jurgelis on the last lap by nearly a second. So he's doing all he needs to do, but he's 31 seconds behind. As we see Neutlings again going through the Melbourne loop, goes deep, and he's going to give Ollie Giel a chance to get a move done this time, but unfortunately for him, does have enough alongside him to keep that position. By the looks of it, he's just going to about hold on, which he does, as we see. I think that's Andrescu going into the pit lane. Joran Omlo still in the pit lane for some reason, so I'm guessing he has had some sort of issue, which is really unfortunate to see. As Comiskey pits from 3rd place, he's dropping his way down the pits. He's actually come out ahead of Vojinovic, I mean only just, which again tells you how much time he saved. He did a 28-second pit stop. So in theory, if the gaps stay as they are, it's very possible that that Austin can retain the lead of this race. But he's going to have to be very, very quick on his pit box to get that done. We've got a yellow flag. That's Dominic Chamont just coming back onto the track there as he comes up through Starkey's Bridge. Well, the bridge isn't there anymore in the game, which is a bit disappointing. You see, yeah, just starting to see things play out a little bit. Still struggling to figure out where everyone's going to be because they're all in different positions, but we're starting to get some sort of normality resumed. The one thing that we will have seen is that Vojinovic has been impacted by that choice of tyre change. We'll see whether that will give him any benefit towards the back end of the race. It probably will. It just depends on whether he can get close enough to the others ahead of him to make that move count in terms of that strategy decision. Now, Craig Hewlett, we see getting a drive-through penalty, so that's another drive-through track limits. I think that's 3 now, cumulatively, that we've had throughout this race this evening. As we see Neuterlings pits from 5th, so he'll drop back a few positions. That will promote Comiskey, Vojinovic and co all up a position as a result. Have a look back. Let's keep an eye on our AM category win class at the moment. It looks as though there's still about half a minute, about 25 seconds-ish between Carson and Twoman. And Carson has gotten past Poe, so he's back up into P2 in class, but still got a lot of work to do. I think we're kind of banking, if you're in the Carson camp, you're banking on a drive-through for Twoman, and I think that's the only major way that this is going to change. Now, keeping an eye again still on that gap at the top. Jurgelis still just over 30 seconds behind Carson at the moment. So still a bit of work to do for the Porsche 24 car to ultimately try and challenge for the win. A bonjour to Joran. I'm assuming we're now going to get the debrief in terms of what's happened, seeing as I'm assuming you're still in the pits, which you are. So please do explain yourself. I'm sure your girlfriend will be very disappointed, unless the plan is, as you're currently now doing, is to persuade her to drive the final stint of the race, which I am here for, by the way. Just want to say. I'd love to see that. So 5 of the top 10 still yet to pit. Van der Strauss 10th place, he is still yet to pit. He's your man on screen at the moment. Cooper, Geel, Pixley and Austin still yet to pit. Do not trust too much in terms of the timing board tower times on the top left. It's about 31 seconds now between Karol Jürgelis and Leighton Austin as Mark Cooper pits from P5. So he'll drop back and a chunk of positions in this one. You see he's actually back underway and moving again, so a nice quick stop for him. Let's see what the stop time was. Where is he on my list? A 9-second pit stop, so yeah. Very quick stop from him. That's gonna prove helpful for him through this race. There we go. So what did Joran say? So it's going to stay on to the end of the lap. Steering wheel suddenly was really light and could steer. Oh, so the force feedback's gone. I've had that before. It is horrible. It baffles me to think that I used to drive without force feedback on when I first started sim racing, because it is gross. Like when you get used to having force feedback and you don't have it, it is horrible and so difficult to drive. Oh, fair enough. The girlfriend's she's not driving either, which is a shame. We need to make sure that happens. Let's get a social going. Let's get Shane in the car. Let's see what she can do. I'm very intrigued. I'd love to see if she's actually any better than you. We'll have to wait and see. She's probably not as good at overtaking as you are, as we see potentially an overtake on the cards here. Vojinovic up the inside into the Melbourne loop. Comiskey, we saw there getting a little bit of a swapper on coming through the Fog TS's, and as a result, gets a poor exit out of them. Doesn't get the run down into the Melbourne loop, and as a result, that promotes Vojinovic up into P5 as Pixley pits. So this will be for P4, I should say as well. Or defending, yes, exactly. You did a very good job on Saturday. I will hasten to add. Very well done indeed. So at the moment, it's Vojinovic up into P4. Not quite going faster than Jürgelis at the moment. So losing time, actually, over the last couple of laps to the 24 machine. So it's not really looking like this tyre swap change was the right decision at this moment in time. Still 19 minutes left. So still an outside chance that that may change things. It looks like a couple of people have pitted and changed tyres. Van der Strauss looks like he's one of them. It looks like he's fixed damage as well, because he was in the pit. He was stopped in the pit lane for a minute and a bit. 33 seconds for Liam Knott, so you'd assume tyres taken there. Same with Andrew Robertson and Harry Tuominen. Neutling, Chamont maybe. Jenkins will have done. Pagliara. Carson taken tyres. Salovic taken tyres. Quite a few people in the end have taken a tyre change by the looks of it. More than I would have expected. Again, I would have, if it was me, I probably would have just run the whole race on the one set. And one thing we can definitely confirm is that Leighton Austin will be doing that, because if he pits now for new tyres, he has made a very big mistake. He needs to just carry on that same set of rubber and just get on with it. I mean, it doesn't matter massively because he's actually still putting in really good lap times. His last lap time was a 27.5, although this man's lap time, as you see there, is a 27.1. So Vojinovic pulling the cat out of the bag for this one. Very good display from him. Here's Mike Richards, who seems to be, every time we've gone to see Mike on track, he's had a handful of cars behind him. Not sure what that means for him, but he's got Andrew Robertson and Harry Tuominen close for company behind. Craig Hewlett a further 8.5 seconds back. But yeah, it's the Mike Richards show today. He's been very much on top of the action, it seems. Let's talk you through with just over 17 minutes left of this race. Leighton Austin, we've mentioned a handful of times, has led this one from lights to flag as it stands, is sitting in P1, still yet to pit, of course, so that's going to be interesting to see where he comes out in relation to the second place man, Karol Jürgelis, who has pitted, who is 32 seconds behind the lead car at this moment. Ollie Geel is third place at the moment. He's still yet to pit. He's a further 24 seconds behind Jürgelis, who's 6 seconds ahead of Dusan Vojinovic, who is a net third, based on the fact he has already pitted as well. Comiskey is in 5th place. He's pitted. He's jumped Gray in the pit stop phase, importantly to note that. Jay Brooker has got himself up into P7. As we see, there was a car off there on the infield. That was Colin Dunn. So the 19 car on the track map. It's unfortunate to see him making a little bit of excursion. Thomas van der Strauss get to pit. He's in 8th position. Coupland in 9th place. So really good recovery drive so far from him. Pixley rounding out your top 10. But Raddenbury will get into the top 10 once the pit stop phase is finished. At least 10th, maybe 9th. Depends on Ollie Giel as a result of that as well. Mike Richards is defending a little bit, but he's given the door opening for Robinson to have a bit of an attack from Tuomanen behind. Tuomanen having a really good race so far this evening, leading that AM class by quite a way to Simon Carson. Trying to figure out again what the actual gap is. It's very difficult to say. In fact, no, it's not. It is about 34 seconds. It's, again, ebbing and flowing, but certainly going in the favour of the Lamborghini man in the 83 Hexagonation car at this moment of the race. We've got a yellow flag on track. The 193 car, that's Nick Karianis, is off track. Oh, he's been in the wall in quite a way. Let's see what happens here. Just comes out of McLean's. Oh dear, that's a big hit. Exactly what he's done there. He's hit that bobbly bit of curb on the exit of McLean's. Offset the car, as we can see it's done. And as a result, shifted him very much into the wall. Big shame for him. You can see, look at that. That is a second-hand looking Merc, if ever you've seen one. So big shame for that. Here is Jay Brooker. And that's John Gray and that Mercedes just ahead of him. So it's very close between these two at the moment. It's the closest between any two cars in the top 10 at the moment. The top 10 have certainly spread across the last maybe 15 minutes or so whilst the pit stop phase has happened. Track temperature's gone up a touch. So that's going to be just making those tyres just tire a little. Oh, it's going to make them struggle a little bit more. Again, I would imagine that most of these guys will be able to make a whole race last on the one set of tyres. I mean, a lot of people have, so it's not something that's going to be hugely difficult for people to do. And sadly, at the moment, there's only 4 cars, I should say, that are within a second of one another. So you've got these two, John Gray and Jay Brooker, and then you've got the gap between Tuomanen and Richards is half a second as well. But I'm going to go to this man because this man is pitted. In fact, let's go to the guy behind him instead, because that seems a bit more sensible to do. This is Jürgelis coming through the final corner. We'll see what happens with Leighton Austin. His stop has finished, so he served his pit stop. He's now exiting the pit lane. Let's see. Let's go to the helicam and see where he comes out. He's just exiting pit lane now. Where is Jürgelis? Where is Jürgelis in that white Porsche? There he is. Jürgelis is going to take the lead. It's so close between the two of them. Chamont gets involved there as well. That's not ideal for Austin. That is the last thing he would have wanted as part of that. But importantly for Jürgelis, he takes the lead of this one. He is committed to the undercut, and it has worked absolutely brilliantly for him, and he has got himself up into first place. He was sat behind Austin for almost what must have felt like an eternity in his position at the start, at the first half of this race. Gets into the pit stop, pits early, gets some clear air, and as a result does a fantastic job there and manages to get the position done. And yeah, up into P1 for Karolis Jürgelis. Great show from him. Dominic Chamont just gets out of the way this time. And as you can see there, gets himself past the lap car and now can turn his attentions back to seeing whether he can make that move and get himself back into the lead of this race. In the meantime, let's have a look at the battle for P6 once more. John Gray further dropping back towards the clutches of Jay Brooker in that Lamborghini, who has got a massive run out of the Crane of Curves and in through the old hairpin. He's going to be very close up to the back of him as he run up towards McLean's. Oh, bit of contact between the two of them. Perfect angle to see it. Jay Brooker just unfortunately braking a little bit late there, rather sensibly and very appropriately done, does decide to wait for them, which is great to see, and gives John Gray the position back, which is exactly what, as I said before, we encourage here at PosPer in our GT Championship. In fact, in all of our championships, we encourage a bit of sportsmanship, and that is exactly what we're seeing there. I can see Nick Karianis off once more, so I imagine his race is pretty much done at this point. Looks like he's gone off. Looking at the track map, that's the Crane of Curves. Sorry, on the exit of the old hairpin, I should say, that he has he's run off the track there. Now let's go back to this. This is Ollie Giel defending from Dusan Vojinovic. Now Ollie Giel is one of those people who's gone very, very deep into this race. 12 minutes left and still yet to pit. So again, one of those guys who's definitely not going to be changing tyres. Goes wide out of the first corner though, and that's going to give Vojinovic all the impetus he needs and puts himself back up into P3, where he has been for almost all of this race, until he pitted quite early Pitted for tyres, of course, as we saw, which is why they're so far behind. And as a result, looks like he is going to have to settle for P3 at best, barring any incidents or events that happen and befall the top two before this race is done. Here's Thomas van der Strauss, still yet to pit, I hasten to add. 6th place at the moment. He's got Ash Coupland very much behind him. Ash probably isn't going to be in a massive rush at the moment, I wouldn't have thought. He is on the cards for a P5, which, considering where he was at the start of this race, is a fantastic return for him, I would say. Given he was turned around in the first couple of corners and was last when he decided to pit on the first couple of laps. A great return from him if he can get into the top 5, which it looks like for all intents and purposes he will, unless John Gray or Jay Brooker can do anything about it, who are about 10 or 5 seconds behind, I should say, by them. So he's not necessarily in a position where he wants to push this too much, I wouldn't have thought. Here's Mike Richards. Again, Mike Richards. Tone of the evening, being followed by 2 cars. It's still Robinson and Tuominen behind him, but it is, of course, we saw earlier on when we saw that move happen, it's Tuominen from Robinson rather than the other way around. Of course, the Finnish driver, the number 83 Lamborghini, getting that move done on Robinson into this corner, if I remember correctly. But that's a big send from Robinson. Oh my goodness me. Nearly collected the Ferrari of Mike Richards. But what a move that was from this man here. Let's get that. I want to see this from an onboard. Now, I want the onboard view, you silly goose. That's not going to show me, is it? There we go. Oh, I can't see it. I'm going to have to go back and get it again. Hold that thought, boys and girls. I want to see this from the onboard, because this was an absolute stormer. Just wait for it to finish. There we go. Right. Robinson. Oh, I've missed it again. It's a big send, right? We've seen it now. It's the bloody thing. It should keep the same camera that I had before. It normally does. It clearly doesn't fancy it this time. That was yeah. That was a fantastic move from Robinson. That's what we're all going to kind of surmise from here. Last of the late breakers. Lick the stamp and send it. Full Danny Rick style, if you like your F1. Brilliant work from him to do that. Adam Veselinovic now puts a fastest lap in for this one. We're waiting eventually for the replay to end. Jay Brooker back onto the tail of John Gray again. They've lost that position to Coupland, of course, courtesy of the fact they had that coming together. Send it, shouts Joran in the chat. That's exactly what happened. I loved it. It was great. I'm all for a big send, and that is the exact way to do it. And we caught the best possible angle, I feel, which was from the rear wing of Mike Richards' car. That would have been something that would have scared the life out of you if you were in his position. As you see, Van der Strauss now has pitted, so that is him back to P14, and that promotes a handful of those back up into the top 10. So Raddenbury into the top 10 now. Brooker and Gray up in position. Coupland up into 6th. Kaviski pit into 5th. And Geel still yet to be. I think Geel is the only driver yet to pit, I believe. Yeah, pit count. He's the only one yet to serve a pit stop. So he will drop back, we know, as Jay Brooker now again, as he did before, gets a really good run out of the old hairpin. We'll look from the rear wing again like we did before. Hopefully this isn't an unfortunate camera angle. It's not the cursed one. No, it's not. Brooker doesn't manage to get the move done on this occasion. But Gray goes a little bit squiggly out of the McLean's exit there. Just goes up towards Coppice, holds onto it. Just so important here to make sure you get the perfect exit. He hasn't got as good an exit as Brooker by the looks of it. Brooker's going to be alongside as they go down the Starkey straight. He's going to jink to the inside as they come towards the Fog TS. He's going to be late on the brakes. He's going to try and make the move done. No, sits in behind. Probably a very smart move made by Brooker there to not actually make a move there, because that would have been a little bit silly if he had. They've got Poe in close contention as well. Looks like Poe's going to go nice and deep through there. And this is bringing Pixley into the equation for this battle for P6 as well, because he is very much on the tail of Brooker now, within a second of the 166 T1 SR racing machine. Keeping an eye at the top of the leaderboard as well. It looks like Leighton Austin he's managing the gap back ahead to Jurglis, or the other way around probably. Doesn't look like he's really kind of making any meaningful indent on that time ahead at the moment. So it looks like that might be potentially that wrapped up. It's definitely wrapped up for P3. I can't see Vujanovic getting any more time back. He is running quicker than the guys ahead of him, but 27.5 seconds behind. Certainly not going to see anything coming from that, I wouldn't have thought. Let's go back to that wing camera as you come up the hill towards McLean's. This is the battle for P7. We've mentioned a few times Brooker on the back of Coupe of Grey. As we saw Pixley there, I'm pretty sure he was sideways going into the entrance of McLean's, which was quite impressive to watch. Here we go, back down the Starkey straight again. It's going to be another chance for Brooker to just put a bit of pressure on and see if John Gray will crack from the drivers behind him. He's not done that so far. The only person you'd argue has cracked was Jay, but by breaking a little bit late into McLean's a couple of laps ago and giving them a bit of a nudge. Although he's going to go for the cutback now. Oh, it was close. He thought about it. Just noticed that Gray's running a little bit deep there into the Melbourne loop. Gave the Lamborghini a chance to make that move. He's going to go deep into Goddard's. I don't know if that was intentional, but he's going to give him a decent exit. No, he's not, because he's gone sideways. A little bit squiggly coming out of the final corner. And as a result, is going to drop a little bit back in towards the clutches of Mr. Pixley in the Wild Things racing car. As a result of that, let's have a look around and see what else is going on. We've got Mark Raddenbury, as I said, he's looked for a P10 and he's on the cards for it at the moment. In fact, he should be on the cards, you would think, just for a P9, assuming he keeps it clean and tidy, because Ollie Gio, as we mentioned, still yet to pit, and he is 25 seconds, sorry, ahead of Raddenbury at the moment. So potentially a P9 on the cards for Posper Bossman. Mike Richards still has the man in the form of Andrew Robinson very much on his tail. He has not left his rear wing for the best part of what feels like about 7 years at this stage. It feels like it's been going on for an eternity, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's always good to watch. As we see again from the rear wing of that Ferrari. In fact, let's go back to this one again, because this is these two again so close. But again, Jay just can't get the move done. And this, like I said before, has brought Pixley into the equation in that Nissan GTR. He's going to look outside the inside of the Melbourne loop, and he's going to get a great move. Fantastic work from Pixley there to get that done. It just looked like he was so opportunistic with that move. Let's go back to him now. He's going to be going into the entry at Goddard's. I wondered whether potentially Brooker was going to try and look to do something back to him as they went into Goddard's, but he hasn't done. Just looks to me like he maybe just left the door open a little bit, did Brooker there, and Pixley thought, well, you're going to leave the door open. If you're going to send me the invite, I will take that all day long. I'll cash that check, as it were. Now, what I am going to do is go back up to this now, because look at this. I said a moment ago, I almost, maybe I tempted fate. Maybe I've teased this, because Leighton Austin has massively clawed back the gap to Karis Jurgelis to really put the pressure on as we come into the final 4 minutes of this one. So we're going to have, what, 3 laps left, including this one, to see whether Karis Jurgelis can hold on to that lead of this race, see whether he can fight off his teammate. Of course, although it's the white livery for Jurgelis, it is the West Competition Racing Machine. So these guys are teammates, as they were at Pulse before and now are at WCR as well. And see whether Jurgelis will hold on. He's got a few wins in the Posper GT Championship under his belt. Will he get another one to add to his tally by the end of this evening? We'll come back to that in a second, because as we can see, we've now kind of essentially formed a bit of a 4-way battle for P7 now, but will be P6, because we can see Ollie Gio in the pit lane now. This is a 4-way battle for P6 in theory. We've got 6th place in John Gray, 7th place in Pixley, 8th in Brooker, and 9th in Raddenbury. As John Gray goes a little bit wide coming through Goddard's, there, look at them, they're all sideways. That going out of that corner, it looked like. There is Ollie Gio who's going to come out of it, so he might come out pretty close to the back end of these guys as well. Might be able to catch up if things continue as the way they are. But at the moment, John Gray is somehow managing to hold on. Let's have a look from the Posper man of Mark Raddenbury as they come down the crane of curves. Oh, I should have got it from Dre. Look at them steaming down there. So quick through there, probably top at 140, 150 mile an hour. John Gray goes sideways as they go through the old hairpin. Pixley goes off, Brooker stays on, Raddenbury goes off. This is like watching a bit of BTC. See how close these guys are. All we need is a bit of door rubbing, and we'll be right set for something that you'd see on ITV on a Sunday afternoon. So here we go, John Gray. I've got to keep an eye on this. It's so difficult because Jurgelis and Austin are still within half a second of each other, so I've got to be very mindful of what I'm watching here. Looking from the rear view of John Gray, just over the rear spoiler of that AMG Mercedes, Rich Pixley is just dropped back a touch there. We look from the rear of Pixley. He's got Brooker very close. Raddenbury's going to look the inside into the S's. That's a fantastic move from Mark Raddenbury. That is amazing stuff. He's got a drive through for his troubles, though. Oh, it's heartbreak. Heartbreak for the 750. That was one of the moves of the century. And unfortunately gets done over by those pesky track limits with just over a minute and a half to go. That is gutting for him. We go back to the fight for the lead of this race. We come up on the penultimate lap now of this race here at Donington Park. It's been an absolute barnstormer of an affair throughout the season. It's a drive-through for Jürgens now as well. Oh, my word. Oh, this is all gone Pete Tong for some of these guys. Jürgens gets a drive-through on the penultimate lap of the race, holding off that gap. That is going to essentially give, well, it is going to give Leighton Austin the victory here. It's potentially going to promote Vojinovic up into P2, which nobody saw coming as part of this. Oh my word, you would never have pictured this in a million years. That is incredible. So there we go. John Gray maintains 6th place from Pixley from Brooker. Raddenbury drops out of the top 10. Heartbreaking circumstances for him. He drops down to P14 in the end of that one. That is awful for him. Jürgens is going to drop back as well. Like I say, we'll see whether he's going to come out ahead of his competitor in the form of Vojinovic. He is, by the looks of it, by quite some margins. That just shows you that possibly the tyre change, not the best move in the world. As Salovic has got a second drive-through penalty, I can see on there at the moment, and this has gone from what was already a pretty ridiculous race anyway to an even more ridiculous one as Alex Taylor joins us in the chat. You have just missed the most ridiculous 60 seconds of racing I've ever seen. Mark Raddenbury's on an absolute charge. Look at him go. He's battling with everybody he can. He knows he hasn't got any more drop track limits now, doesn't he? He knows he can just absolutely send it if he wants. They go past Nick Carianis, one of the back markers. This is Raddenbury chasing Twoman. Oh, look at Van der Straat. Oh, goodness me. That is a huge hit between the two of them there. Raddenbury collects in there as well. Richards gets a position back as part of that. That was very, very late and lazy from Van der Strauss. That is going to be definitely investigated by the stewards. We'll see what happened here. He was so late on the brakes. Just about caught the back end of the replay. We'll see if we can get one of those at the back end of that. That was a day late and $1 short from the all proposed race in the 169 machine. That's dropped him right the way back as well. As I've just realised, I'm so sorry, but I've completely forgotten about the fact that Leighton Austin crosses the line to take the victory here at round 4 at Donington Park. Fantastic display from him. Inherited it, it has to be said, from this man, Karolis Jürgens, getting a drive-through penalty on the penultimate lap of the race. Sad set of affairs for him, but that will give Leighton Austin a first win in the Positive Perception GT Championship. Dusan Vojinovic changed his tyres but wasn't able to make the most of the fresh rubber. He will come through in 3rd place. And it'll be this man, Matt Comiskey, who will turn out for a very impressive P4 in the number 5 McLaren 720. Good display from him. Has kept himself relatively quiet throughout the race, but done a great job regardless. And this man, great response from him after a very hectic first couple of laps. Ash Coupland will come through in 4th place. John Gray will just about, by the looks of it, hold on to P6. He's due to just about hold on. That'll be Rich Pixley in 7th. Jay Brooker in 8th place. Ollie Gill will come out in 9th place in the end. He's benefited from a couple of incidents as well as there. He's come out in 9th. Mark Cooper has inherited a 10th place position. Fantastic result from him, just ahead of Liam Knott. We've got another drive through. Craig Hewlett's got that one now. Adam Masalovic didn't choose to serve his, so he gets a 30-second time penalty applied. Andrew Robinson comes through in 12th. Mike Richards in 13th. And Mark Raddenbury comes through for P14. It's a silver class victory for Jay Brooker. It's an AM class victory for Harry Twoman and Simon Carson coming through in 2nd place. Absolutely no idea what happened in the last 10 minutes of that race. That was incredible. I've never seen anything like that as long as I've been commentating, where we've seen 2 instances where things have just gone completely pear-shaped for 2 drivers in the space of, what, about 30 seconds. It was a fantastic move originally from Raddenbury, but just got the drive-through. It's a click of the fingers. It was instantaneous. I genuinely have never seen anything like it. Incredible stuff. What a fantastic race from those guys. Brilliant race from everyone involved. Congratulations to Leighton Austin, of course, the winner we mentioned in the pro class. It was I don't remember who came second in silver. Who won in silver class now? name escapes me. I'll get it. It'll come back to me in a minute. Am Class Victory, of course, for Harry Twyman and yeah, Silver Class Victory. Jay Brooker, it was Silver Class Victory. Yeah, so fantastic display from all of these guys. That was yeah, I don't even know where to start. Qualifying was fantastic. We had really, really close displays in qualifying, which is exactly what we wanted. It showed us that I think it was fair to expect that we were going to have a really nice close battle for the well, not only for the victory but for other parts of the race as well. And I think we got blessed pretty well with that. In all fairness, some fantastic battling throughout the race, the whole way through, and yeah, a perfect way to summarise the penultimate race of this Positive GT season. Alex Taylor, you did miss out, but you missed out for the right reasons. I hope you're feeling better, buddy, after what's happened over the course of today. I don't think you'd have been able to cope. I think you might have struggled to keep up with everything that was going on, to be honest, mate. Watch it back, my word. I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on the VOD afterwards when this one gets rendered, because that was ludicrous, especially that last 10 minutes. I've never seen anything like it. We managed to get some very fortunately timed camera angles on some of that as well, which I'm very pleased with. But anyway, that is going to call a wrap for the 4th round of this Positive Perception GT Championship season. Season number 9 has got one race to go, and that will be at Watkins Glen in a couple of weeks' time on the 7th of December. So make sure you're here for that one. It'll be Alex Taylor and Ryan Newman who will be calling the shots for that one, whilst I am off at my company Christmas do. You love to see it. Fantastic racing from these guys once again. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. If you haven't done already, please make sure you like the stream and subscribe. Throw a couple of comments into the chat and everything like that as well, because it really does help us get that name out there, and it's something obviously we're very keen to continue doing. We've had a fantastic display so far this year and want to continue that going into 2024. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.